Well, it's interesting because the word propaganda to me immediately evokes all out war. I think of Frank Capra and sort of, us versus them, which value system will win. And it's interesting, even if you think about how it's playing out, let's say in Africa, where there's been a lot of investment from China. We seem to be seeing the same sort of using that as a way in for Chinese sort of cultural products too, right? You mentioned it in the
Right.
book. Where are we with that?
Well, I love that you mentioned Frank Capra because Frank Capra, it kind of epitomizes the playbook that Hollywood built and exported around the world. And China has seen that and studied that and wants to do it themselves. And so when I was started this book, a lot of people in entertainment here in Los Angeles would say to me, well, Chinese movies are never going to work because no American's ever going to go see a Chinese movie. And there's probably a point to be made there, right? We Americans have never really flocked to foreign films. So I actually started thinking, well, where, it's a big world out there. I mean,
Yeah.
there are other audiences beyond Americans. And you're right that Africa, I think, is where we're going to see a lot of this kind of cultural battle play out because China, as we know, is already there in a major way when it comes to infrastructure and political influence and economic influence. But what I was surprised to learn more about was the cultural campaign being waged there. So I focused on Kenya, and I went to Kenya and spent some time there. And I traveled to these villages far outside Nairobi, and I would knock on their door in the middle of the day,
Mm-hmm.
unannounced, and say, can I come in and talk to you? And I'm not exaggerating. I walked in and a Chinese soap opera was playing on TV,
Was
or
it in
Chinese.
Swahili or was it in like dubbed into English? Like how were they consuming it? Because it wouldn't have been Mandarin.
Well, so actually a critical question because most Western entertainment companies working in Africa have decided that it is not worth the money to dub their films and TV shows into Swahili,
Mm-hmm.
and so they subtitle them often. Now, the Chinese are not there really with an economic goal in mind. They're there with a political goal in mind, and they have decided to stomach the cost of dubbing their films and TV shows into Swahili because they know it will make them more appealing than the subtitled American film and TV shows. And so these villages often receive low cost satellite dishes built and manufactured in Beijing that come with Chinese TV shows and movies on them and entire channels dedicated to Chinese
It's
entertainment. So it's kind of introducing a lot of Africans to the country that has seemingly overnight appeared in their backyard.